Christian Choate was molested by his birth mother, then beaten by his father, stepmom, and sister, and left to live in a dog cage. He wrote letters describing how he was abused by his family members, and how he just wanted to be liked by his family. By all accounts, his abuse was heinous, but how did it go on for so long? And why did no one question anything? "I want to die," was what 13-year-old Christian Choate wrote on a piece of paper that his stepmother gave him to write how he felt. Christian died in early 2009 from blunt force injuries and a fractured skull, but his family kept it a secret until his body was discovered 2 years later. Christian had spent years leading up to his death being tortured by his father Riley Choate, stepmother Kimberly Cubina, and his older sister Christina. At least 13 people were aware of Christian's abuse, including family members, neighbors, and others, but none of them reported it to the authorities, with the exception of their neighbor, who contacted Child Protection Services, but received no response. Christian was kept in a dog cage and beaten on a daily basis, one of which killed him on April 5, 2009. The next morning, when his sister Christina discovered him unresponsive in his cage, she put her finger under his nose and discovered he was not breathing. Riley warned her not to tell anyone, or he would kill her and bury her next to her brother, and she obeyed, never mentioning what she had witnessed. 2 years later, when Riley moved to Indiana without Christina, she called her stepsister, Alyssa, to tell her what happened to Christian. Alyssa then informed her family members. When Christian's mother found out about him, she called 911 and told them where they could find the body of a child who had been killed 2 years prior. Police went to Riley's house, where they discovered Christian's body beneath a concrete layer in a shed. Medical examiners determined he had suffered immense strength trauma as well as internal bleeding. When asked, Riley told police that he dug a 2-foot grave for Christian and placed a Bible on his chest. The family then moved to Kentucky, where Christina was not allowed to use her phone or attend school. Christian was born on the 27th of December, 1995, to Amy Estrada and Riley Choate. Since his mother was charged with molesting him, she lost custody of him and his sister in 2004. Christian and his sister moved in with his father and his wife, along with their children. Within a few days after moving in, he was found to have physically abused his niece while living with them. Riley then started beating Christian daily, and was afraid that school authorities would notice Christian's bruises and report it to child services, so he began homeschooling him in 2007. Cubina and Riley were concerned that all of their 9 children would be taken into protective custody if the truth came out. Christian was initially confined to his basement room, with only limited access to the outside world to eat and use the restroom. He managed to break free in late 2008, but he was quickly apprehended by one of his nieces and Cubina. Cubina paid $15 to her neighbor for a dog cage, and they kept Christian in there for the rest of his life. Christian's feet turned purple due to the beatings and living in the dog pen. As a result, they let him out of the cage for exercise. He was mostly fed noodles, with 1 packet for breakfast and another for dinner. They tasked Christina with looking after her brother. Christina's responsibilities included feeding him, taking him to the bathroom, forcing him to exercise, and physically punishing him if he disobeyed her orders. If she didn't, Riley would beat her. Christian suffered severe bruises all over his body. Christina was instructed by Cubina to give him ice-cold baths. By the time the abuse escalated, Christian was small enough to fit into size 6 children's clothes, and he was forced to wear a diaper after urinating and defecating on himself in the cage. Christian struggled to chew or swallow cereal in the days leading up to his death. Riley was enraged that he couldn't eat, so he beat Christian and eventually threw him back into his cage. Christian stated in writing that when he was hungry, he had to steal food because his family allegedly refused to feed him. He wrote that the only time he was allowed out of the cage was to clean the house, but he was never allowed outside. He would wait for someone to come and check on him and bring him food or something to drink. While some of his writings were random, others were assignments from Cubina, who wrote about topics such as why do you want to play? Why do you still want to see your mom? Why can't you let the past go? And what does it mean to be part of a family? Christian stated that he wanted to be liked by his family and that he wanted to die because no one liked the way he behaved. On April the 6th, when they discovered him dead, Cubina called Riley at work and Riley told her to take care of it until he got home. Christian's body was placed in a plastic bag by Cubina and her stepdaughter and taken to a shed near their home. Riley said to Cubina, "Nobody's going to miss him anyhow. We'll bust him and bury him." For 2 years, he was correct. No one had inquired about his disappearance in that time. They told neighbors he had run away when they asked, but they never reported any suspicions. Cubina's sister, Belinda Bradburn, lived next door. She initially denied seeing Christian being abused and never questioned anything because she thought Christian had run away or disappeared. However, she later admitted to investigators that she heard Riley punching Christian. She'd also claimed that when she saw Riley slapping Christian in the arm, she told her sister, "I'm leaving. This is kind of ridiculous that he would just hit a kid, and you need to do something about it." According to the DCS and witnesses in the case, Cubina's other sister, Jessica Hamby, witnessed the violence against Christian but did not report it to the police because she didn't know if Christian was abused on a regular basis. Other children who lived in the house witnessed the violence against Christian but also did not report it. One of Jessica's children thought about telling someone about the situation and had written about it in her diary, but Cubina threatened her and told her that if she revealed the situation to someone, she would do to her what she had done to Christian. Medical records contained in state investigative files show Christian's pediatrician, Dr. Letitia Chaikoa, treated him for depression, anxiety, and ADHD in the years before his death. In one 2008 visit, Christian told the doctor he was getting locked up at night. But according to Indiana Department of Child Services, Letitia never reported to authorities what Christian told her. Riley Choate pleaded guilty in Lake Criminal Court to felony neglect of a dependent relating to his treatment of Christian, neglect of a dependent for depriving his daughter of education, and removal of a body from a death scene. He received a plea deal that netted him 40 years out of the 120 years he faced on the charges. Riley said to Judge Diane Boswell before the sentencing, "I realize how wrong I was. I take full responsibility for it. I'm very ashamed and remorseful for my actions. All my actions will haunt me forever. I loved my son." Following the incident, Riley and Cubina divorced. Cubina pleaded guilty to neglect as well, and she faces a sentence of 25 to 35 years in prison.